Space, the final frontier. This is a review show for Star Trek The Next Generation. Its continuing mission to explore interesting plot points, to seek out goofs and continuity errors, to boldly go where no other TNG review show has gone before.
And we're live.
Hello, lovely peoples. As Monty Brown would say, it is indeed Wednesday. It is indeed 8 o'clock. And this is kind of the TNG review show, but not in the form that you know it. Hi, Ensign Brad.
Hello.
Thank you for joining us.
Hello.
So,
How are you doing?
we're doing well, thank you. I think Monty wouldn't have had a chance to edit all of the title sequence, but in fact, he is not the narrator tonight. I am. Chief Sean is going to be Goof Boy, I guess. and Ruth is joining us as a scoremeister. So yes, we've got a few people sick / working / dropping like the flies. So little bit of a change of personnel. Might not be service as usual, but hopefully it will still be fine. So how are you both? How has your week been?
Well,
Yeah,
so
it's been a couple of weeks,
on.
hasn't it?
I should have asked
Sorry,
somebody
it's been a
specific,
couple of
right?
weeks. Am I on a lag again?
No, you're good. Or I hope you're good. Maybe she is in a lag.
Maybe. I don't know.
Maybe. Yeah, it has been a couple of weeks, hasn't it? So we had the Christmas break and then we've had a little bit of sickness. So, but Monty, although he was not feeling very well, he didn't want us to miss another week. So we decided to go it alone without him. He is behind the scenes, making sure that things go right with screens and stuff. But he's very, very croaky and poorly sick and coughing a lot. So he can't really talk on camera. Smiler is poorly too, boo, but she is in chat. Shame to you all, but yes, hopefully you all get better soon. So, today we are talking about Silicon Avatar, which is very exciting. Shall I launch right into it, do you think?
Just before we do, just wanted
yeah.
to say a happy 30-year and 8-day anniversary to D Space Nine. Very
Oh,
important,
yes.
30 years plus 8 days, which is
Oh,
of course, the one that you do actually celebrate.
30
Yeah.
years in 8 days.
We would
We
have
And
didn't
celebrated
last
last
week.
week. Mhm.
yes, that's true. Actually, we would have done last week. And also, I don't know if she's joined us yet. She might be watching from work, but happy 40th to Tavikins Turner as well, who can't be here tonight because she's had to sort of do some work. But yeah, happy birthday to her. Big
And
milestone.
you know it's serious work because it's a data episode.
I know, I know.
Yeah, her birthday and the data episode, and she's not here.
Mm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
she said her work would take about 4 hours, so she was just, like, super hoping that she might be able to join us partway through. So you never know, we can hold out some hope that Tavikins may join us at some point. Cool. Okay. So, I don't know if Monty Bang can do any magic to bring up any pictures, but I will click on my first picture. If I can get my hands working properly. There it is. Aha! By the magic of technology, my picture has appeared. Okay, so I've got quite a few pictures. I feel like I've probably peppered a few too many, but then I don't really have much in the way of the script. So this could be a slightly shorter than normal episode, but Sean will probably see to it that it's not too short.
I'll try and fill some air for you. Yeah, no problem.
Brilliant. Thank you. So, Commander Riker is on the surface of a pretty green planet called Melona 4. I don't know, did you read anything about what this is? This is obviously an on-location shoot. I don't know if
I
you
didn't
know
read
where this is.
where it was. I did read
No,
up,
I
but I
didn't see
didn't see it.
either.
I can tell you that yeah, obviously that soil sampler thing has been used before,
Yes,
and
indeed.
in the previous episode, Ensign Row, those little huts or tent things were also used. They've been flipped upside down and painted a different color. So I can
Yeah,
tell you that
how
much.
those looks they look quite two-dimensional, those things in the background. But yeah, there's definitely one of the things in the background was used in Ensign Row in the last episode,
Literally
right?
the last episode, yeah.
Yeah. And this thingy here was used in what's it called? The Survivors, was it?
I believe so. Also, there's a map painting and his clothes from it is the survivors, yeah. And there's a map painting that was used for the
Thing.
survivors, and your man's clothes as well is seen later in the episode. So they owe a lot to the survivors, but we have no problem with them using props. But they used the one from the episode before is a bit much.
Yeah, it was
Needs to give you time to
this
forget.
thingy here that this guy's
Mm.
holding, right?
Mm.
Cool. Okay.
Hope you're
Um,
not expecting any trivia from me. I just watched the episode. That's all I did.
no, that's fine. I just need you to keep an eye on people's answers to
Beautiful.
questions and
Although
stuff because
the unit
I can't do that while
the
I'm
unit on the
doing it.
left looks like a light stand that they just were using around the set, and they just decided to put it in shot.
Yeah,
That's what
that's
it looks like to me. It looks very contemporary, you know. So
Mm.
it
yeah,
certainly does. Okay, so now, Commander Riker, so he's having a chat with, I think she's sort of a leader of this new colony or a designer of the colony called Carmen. And they're talking about where they're going to position the school and the art center. And she just sort of says, "Oh, I really want to have children." Like that's the first thing you say to somebody you're having a conversation to. And then he's like, "Interesting. We can discuss that over dinner." I mean, like subtlety and flirtation is definitely lost on these people, right?
well,
Any line works on Riker, though, doesn't it? Really.
I know. He's like, oh, you want to have children? Oh, let me do what's required to help you do that right now. Oh gosh, talk about wanting to jump in there,
yeah,
cheeky.
they're going for the most student date. They're going to sit in a tent eating dry crackers and like share one bottle of bad wine.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh,
Sounds delightful.
yeah.
Except when she offers him dessert, like, oh, saucy. um, okay. And then, oh, that didn't work. Hang on, linky link. There we go. So then Crusher and Data come over, sort of, stopping in mid-flow, bit of cock block there. And some noise starts happening. They wonder if construction on the colony has started early. But they all look up because the noise is coming from the sky. And lo and behold, um, they see the crystalline entity is in the sky. So, and then there's dramatic music. Dong, dong, dong. Um, And that's it for the teaser. Was there anything about the teaser that you guys found particularly fun other than what we've already discussed, or shall I launch into question one?
Yeah, it's not that relevant. In case I ruined the question here, but the crystalline model is completely different from the one they used in the previous episode. It
Oh,
was-
right. Yeah, it also got digitally remastered, didn't it? I think like originally it looked like this. It was sort of had a weird, almost layered over,
yeah,
like it was
yeah, fractal,
semi-transparent
yeah.
effect.
Mm.
And then it's sort of like this. It's a lot more mirror-like, and it looks like it's got a lot more
Mm.
substance. Yeah. Okay, cool. So, question one, and I hope Monty Ban is on standby to put the answers in. Oh, he says the shooting location was Golden Oak Ranch, and also G Star is in chat. Hi, G Star. Golden
Oh,
Oak Ranch. Oh, it does look really pretty place. It would be a nice place to visit, actually.
yeah, I actually saw a video of Golden Oak, I think by Adam the Woo. They have a Western village there. Did they do Sorry, just seeing what they did there. Desperate Housewives, role model, Westworld. Yeah, so there you go. Oh, The Office. That's probably the episodes where they go to Dwight's farm. The A Team, the Muppet movie. Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End, the Muppets, which I think Gates McFadden was in. So yeah, as I say, big ranch with a western town. Yeah, that's what they are.
Bet there's some mosquitoes there with that body of water.
Oh yeah, midges are bad enough. Mosquitoes are another world.
Mm.
That's why they're all wearing the onesie boiler suits.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Boots.
Looks like it'd be a bit hot there as well, though.
Mm.
Cool. So,
Yeah.
question one, what is the planet called? And your options are A, Deltarama 4, B, Tucana 4, C, Malona 4, and D, Maranga 4. So, those are your answer options: A, Deltarama 4, B, Tucana 4, C, Malona 4, and D, Maranga 4.
Delta Rama 4, what was going to happen in her tent after dark, I think was the plan.
There is all of these planets have something in common as well. If anybody
They're
can,
all fours.
they are all fours. That's the obvious one, but it's something a
Speaking
little
of
more
all
subtle
fours,
than
going on in
that.
Riker's tent later on, but
Oh my god! Oh my god!
I didn't even do that one on purpose.
You're going to relate everything to that.
Okay, so let's get stuck into Act One. So Act One starts a little bit chaotically. Everybody's running around. I did put in quite a lot of data pictures. Obviously, expecting that Tavona might be with us. But this is a very blurry data shot. He's moving so fast that the camera can't keep up with him.
It possibly could
Um,
be a stunt double as well.
oh yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, and then you wouldn't be able to tell from the blur. Um,
I'm sure
oh,
I read that Brent Spiner just hated doing any kind of stunt. So even if it was just a running task like that, he would just get the double to do it.
oh, was he just lazy?
I think so.
Well, they all had to have lighting doubles, and they obviously had to match their skin tone. But in Data or Brent's case, like, and the guy physically had to put the makeup on, because otherwise they wouldn't be able to
Yeah.
light match him. Whereas the
No, you
rest of them,
have
they
a
just
custom
got
one,
someone
right?
with a similar skin tone and a similar build, but yeah, particularly height. But in Data's case, the guy had to get the full gold makeup on.
Yeah,
Okay, they might not have to patch it, but they'd have to have it most of it on his face and hands and things.
good point.
Mm.
Um, and basically, Riker's kind of trying to herd people in some way, unsuccessfully in cases. And then the crystalline entity fires off its whatever it is, like an energy discharge of some kind, and basically turns everything into a nice little sandy beach. Could go there on holiday, right?
Although
Um,
I'd love to know what Data's running from, because he only takes organic matter.
that's a good point. Yeah. So
I
if
mean,
it just
he
went
already
over him, he
survived.
would just stand there like
Yeah,
unaffected.
he
Like
already knows.
he already
Yeah.
survived an attack. It went over him, and he was fine.
Yeah, that's true. He's running
Also,
anyway.
how long is it going to take them to do
Guess
the
he's
entire
leading the
planet?
way, right?
How long is it going to take them to do the entire planet? They're doing these little 10-meter strips at like walking pace. He'd be there for about 2,000 years.
What, to run away or to like
No,
terraform
to,
the
to, to
colony?
clear the entire planet.
Ah, right. What, the crystalline entity, you mean?
Yeah, it's doing these tiny little strips.
It is seeming to, but I don't know. According to later, I think it took about 6 odd hours or something, didn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah, you'd think it would take longer.
Mm.
So, so they basically start running towards the caverns, and then Riker's friend, lady friend, turns back to help an old dude who's fallen over. Riker rushes after her, yells at her name, but then the crystalline entity beam sweeps over them and they get vaporized. So that's kind of the ultimate cockblock, right? He's not getting his date later. So sad times for Riker. Back on the
Okay,
D.
there'll be another one next week.
Yeah. G calls it a nasty snowflake. That is true. It is a nasty snowflake. On the D, nice picture of Worf because, I likes me Worf. So he senses a disturbance in the force, in the atmosphere on the planet, possibly an electrical storm, he says. They try to contact the colony, but to no avail. And they are currently 27 hours away at present speed. So Geordi confirms that something hinky's going on the planet, and Captain Picard orders the ensign to increase the ship speed to warp 8 to get there quicker. Meanwhile, the colonists have found some shelter with the caves. They've gone inside, and Riker and Data have used their phasers to seal off the entrance. Data thinks that there's various metals in the rock strata that may protect them from the energy beam, but Crusher is more concerned about how much air they have now that they've sealed the entrance, and hoping that they can survive until they're, rescued or until the crystalline entity goes away.
I just wanted to say we've had a disturbance in the force. We have our Wookiee in the chat. Gong! And now we have a lightsaber.
No,
Yes.
yes.
Data
Yeah,
being a
that
nice little
is
Sith there.
Data and his lightsaber. They also they use their phasers. They're like, oh, it's dark in here, so they use their phasers to make some rocks glow for light. But you'd also think that would put out quite a bit
Use
of
up
heat.
the air, yes.
And
Yeah.
you'd also think it would consume the oxygen, yeah.
Yeah.
So, I don't really know. Obviously, rocks aren't combustible per se, but you'd think any kind of something with heat would consume oxygen in some way,
Yeah, it would
surely.
do, yeah.
But,
And it
yeah,
looks like a pretty big space anyway. It doesn't, they're not
Well, the
in a
rocks aren't
tiny.
combustible, but the air is combustible. So
yeah, true. Yeah, so probably not the best of ideas after Crusher had just warned them that she thinks they might run out of air. So Will, they're like, oh, is that everybody? Where's the rest? And Will unfortunately recounts how Carmen has died, and they just hope that they can wait this thing out. Next picture. So Will tries to contact the Enterprise, but he can't get through, and Data believes that might be because of the metal in the rocks, which is protecting them, may also interfere with communications. So instead, we look back at what's happening on the Enterprise, and Picard looks very stressed out. So he's pacing back and forth. He looks really worried, and Deanna, she sort of placates him, really. She sort of says, oh, I'm sure they're fine, just sort of trying to get him to relax, really. They increase to warp 9 to try and get there even faster, but they're still 6 hours away from the planet.
just wanted to say on that shot, you can see the plaque. It's an unusual shot. You normally can't see it. But also underneath it, you can see the little replicator there. There's a little drinks
Oh,
replicator.
yeah.
Never ever used, but it's there. It's always there. So if anyone from you never see them drinking anything, but it's always there, and you can just go over and get your tea or grey hot or whatever it is.
Are you allowed
Nice.
drinks on the bridge?
Well, we never see them anywhere. Yeah, but I think in the real navy and stuff that there's coffee everywhere. But in the space navy, not so much.
Maybe it's just like if somebody passes out and you need an emergency water or something to help bring them, that kind of thing, I guess, in
They
case
take
of emergency.
they take speed pills. I don't know how they do it, but they just sit there not drinking coffee all day, sitting down.
Should
Also,
we do
this
answers?
episode. Just before you do, I just want to say this episode has the most Horrible Deanna dialogue. Everything is. I'm
Yeah.
sensing she's angry. you know, it's
Something's
like
wrong.
Isn't
really.
that all of her dialogue in every episode, though?
Yeah, but it's particularly bad in this one.
Oh, Smiler says, do they have cup holders? If yes, then drinks should be allowed on the bridge.
Actually, I'll go
No
off
cup
topic
holders.
since we'll probably run short anyway. When they were making Spaceballs, they were worried about they were all drinking out of polystyrene cups because it was the 80s and you did that. And they kept worried about getting them in shot. So they actually said, well, we'll just make them part of the ship. So everyone on the ship is drinking coffee out of polystyrene cups. And that way, instead of worried about getting them in shot, they just became part of the set. So it was never a continuity error or a problem.
Funny. Um, they're talking about cup holders and stuff. G says something to do with saucer separation. I think he knows there's a joke in there somewhere, but he couldn't quite.
You can't quite work it out.
It's funny.
Yeah, smiling. Deanna, I will state the
The
obvious.
obvious, yeah. Yeah, bless her. So
I'm
I think we've
sensing.
got everybody seams to have put a C, right?
Who
that-
actually wrote the questions?
Me, why?
Oh, you. That's fine then. Because both Monty and Sean answered.
Ah,
So
yes. I have inherited all of Monty's tasks this week except for driving StreamYard. So I am question master. They will probably
Right.
not be as good as usual, but yeah. So the reason why I said this, did anybody figure out, by the way, what they all had in common? Probably not, right? So
Are they all colonies?
They're all fours.
they are all fours, but they are all also the same planet shot. So if you go to like reuse planet
Ah, right.
shots, and you go down here, so we've got the correct answer, which was C, which was Malona 4 from Silicon Avatar, which is here. Whoops, can't do this very well. Oh, well, anyway, you can see it. It's there. But then also there's Delta Runner 4, there's Maranga 4, there's, what was the other one? Tarkana 4. So this same sort of planet shot's been used for all of those different 4s.
Just a
And
little
a couple
trick.
of 3s.
If you hold down control on the keyboard and you push forward on the scroll wheel, you'll zoom in and you can zoom back out again. There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can just do that with your putting your fingers together in a part there.
Oh, if you on your touchpad, yeah, you can. I
Yeah.
suppose.
Oh yeah, I don't have a scroll wheel. I don't use mouses.
Oh,
I haven't a mouse. I don't use a
Jesus.
mouse. Haven't used
Fair
one in
enough.
about 5 years. When you travel a lot, you just like little peripherals just go out the window. It's just a pain in the ass to carry them.
Okay, suit yourself.
Right. Where was I? Let's go back to the latest picture. There we go. Pickard. So is that
Also,
everybody got that right, I presume?
Everybody put C. How did the scores work
Brilliant.
again? I just realised I volunteered for this, but it's more
It's
complicated than
just
just
20 points for the first question, 40 for the second, then 60, then 80, then 100, then 120. So the points for each
Okay.
question goes up by 20 each time.
I can do that.
just say there's an insert shot later on. I don't know if you have a shot of it. Do you know this one, Mother? So they show a shot facing from the back of the heads of the two officers at Con and Ops, and it's two completely different people because they actually just reused
Oh.
a shot from a different episode.
Well, I've got the doodads here. I don't know if it's probably around here somewhere.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't be overly fussed about it, but they have a shot from basically looking at the back of their heads, and it's two different people.
Doesn't seem to be there, but yeah, could be
I
later
wouldn't
on.
be fussed.
Yeah, never mind. Okay, so back to the story. Where were we? Back on the. Oh yeah, he's pacing. He's worried. And then back to the planet again. It keeps going back and forth. They're getting to a point now where the oxygen is almost completely depleted. They haven't heard the entity in quite some time. So they start thinking about what should we do next, and then they hear a noise. So they get their phasers out, which is why they're in that stance right there. And Lieutenant Worf enters the cave along with some other people, and they say, "Oh, what a beautiful sight you are, Worf." They ask what happened, and Riker explains that there was the crystalline entity, and then they go outside of the cave and they see the complete devastation that is the planet.
Well, I'm sure. Hopefully, they have one or two of those Genesis probes left because they know there's nothing alive anymore. So might as well have at it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that could work well. And this map painting, I think, has been used before as well.
I think it was using the Borg attacks or something, was it?
It may well have been, and I think it was also used in the Survivors again. So there's a few
Oh
things
yes,
from the Survivors, because they had that little patch of green, didn't they? And the whole of the
yeah.
rest of the planet looked devastated.
Mm.
So yeah. Okay. So we have another question. Was there anything else in this part that you had to add, Sean? Any trivia or goofs that I've missed?
In that section, no, I don't think so. As I said, yeah, this episode owes a lot to that other episode, but no, not
Okay,
particularly. No, I think we're good.
cool.
Yeah. Now that we've
Okay.
got AI painting stuff like this, you never have to reuse the same
That's
painting
a very good
shot.
point.
Yeah,
Yeah.
really.
Well, to be fair, that's only been out the last couple of weeks, really. So, but
You
it is a
put
topic.
on.
I did see an email of
Yeah.
someone where they fired an artist and they're just going to try and use AI versions of her previous work to keep going.
It's going to happen.
So
Yeah,
it's,
I keep seeing loads of stuff on LinkedIn, like young versions of the Harry Potter cast and all sorts of weird things like that. If a country was a supervillain renders, and some of them are a little odd. I mean, it's like the graphics, the actual style of the graphics is good, but you can still see there's not that originality of thought that goes into it. It's just a bit random, but
mm.
yeah, still pretty cool. It's on early days,
Well,
right?
well, you work in data. I'll tell you a quick, completely off-topic anecdote. They were trying to train a computer to recognize cancerous moles, and they showed them how to do that. They showed them hundreds of photos of skins with cancerous moles and hundreds without. And they told them which was which, and then they trained it on it. And they ran a couple of hundred, they say 100 with 5 cancerous moles, and it got it right 100% of the time. And then they thought, oh, this is great. We've trained AI to detect cancer. But what actually happened is in the photo, anytime they took a photo with a cancerous mole, they always put a little ruler beside it to show it for scale, to show how big it was. And the AI learned to recognize the ruler.
Yeah.
So, yeah, we still have a way to go. But
Yeah.
still impressive it can do that.
Cool. So, next question. When they were rescued, there was an away team that came into the cave headed up by Mr. Worf. How many
Mr.
people
Wolf.
entered the cave? Was it A, 4, B, 5, C, 6, or D, 7? 4, 5, 6, or 7. How many people came into the cave, including Mr. Worf?
Mr. Wolf.
Mr. Wolf. Right. Okay. So,
It is Worf,
Act
ma'am.
2. And there she is. So Act 2. There's a captain's log.
Can
Sorry,
I just
carry
say,
on.
before you go on, I just want to say D7 is a nice touch, but we could have had B4 and we could have had
Yes.
C3.
Yeah, I had A4. Yeah.
Anyway, it's
Never
fine.
mind. Never mind. Okay, so there was a captain's log. He basically talks about the fact that they've decided to try to pursue the crystalline entity, and they are joined by Dr. Kilamar, a xenologist who has made a study of the entity as her life's work. So she beams aboard. The Enterprise is greeted by Will. Keep it in your pants, Will. And once again, for about the millionth time, he says, "Oh, show you to your quarters." And she says, "No, I don't want to go to my quarters. I want to get right to work." Because that happens every single time they have anybody on the
But the thing
Enterprise.
is, they must have been in subspace range for several hours. She could have been interviewing everybody, but no, she waits till she gets there and has lost 3 hours and then starts talking.
Good point. I mean,
Although,
we all do, now with all our remote working, it's like obvious, isn't it? They didn't
yeah,
have that back in the 80s and 90s, did they?
well, I remember like reading in the technical manual. They're like, the pad can interact wirelessly with any of the computers on the ship, and you can just walk it around and interact with anything, and it's amazing. And you're going, oh yeah, we have phones now that do that perfectly fine. I can control my phone. I can cast my television across the room without having to get up and put a tape in. It's like so
It's
normal
way
to me.
more efficient than these pads where you
And
hand something over. Look what I've done on
well,
this pad.
and
You
then
can't
they've got
access on your own.
And then they've got like they have to put down one pad and pick up another
Yeah,
pad
pick up
because
the
every
other.
one has only had one thing on it. It's like I've come in with all your orders and they've got 8 pads.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A big pile of things to do.
It's like even a Kindle from 15 years ago could hold 1,000 books. It's nice
Yeah.
D shot. Sorry, Tavi, if you're watching this back or if you're managing to catch up with us, you're missing out.
Yeah, I did put a lot of D shots in, a couple of actual Enterprise D shots,
Uh,
but mostly just data.
and Gates is showing some thirst right there. She's all about that D.
Yeah, she's giving a bit of side eye, isn't she?
Yeah, she's going fully functional. Maybe he can do more than dance.
And Data's got the whole
If
head
he's good
tilt.
at dancing,
He's got a head
anyway,
tilt going on. Head tilt.
do the lost puppy head tilt.
Yeah. So they're in the observation lounge. Data confirms that it was indeed the same entity that destroyed the colony at Omicron Theta. Dr. Marr says that it is an electromagnetic collector and it needs a lot of power, so it strips all organic life off of a planet and converts it into energy. She says that in 11 recorded attacks, there have never been any survivors. So it's quite surprising to her that these guys have survived in this circumstance. Data surmises that it was the presence of the metals in the cavern that he thought might have protected them. And Picard orders Data to accompany Dr. Marr to the planet's surface to study the caverns. She gets a bit of a toot about it because of the history of lore and Omicron Theta, but Picard insists that they go together.
I was
Councillor
just gonna.
Troy, sorry, carry on.
Oh no, you're okay. No, just gonna interrupt a random fact. Sorry, just with something Smiler was saying in chat. So the pad is PADD, which is personal access display device, or if you listen to the Delta Flyers, they call it a PADADA. But the outside of that, when Steve Jobs, who was a Star Trek fan, wanted to make a tablet computer, he called it the iPad in honor of Star Trek. And
Ah,
supposedly, the guy who came up with the ideas for MP3s was watching an episode where Data was listening to 3 different pieces of music at the same time. And he goes, "Oh, they're just playing music through a computer. There's not like any CD or anything. Oh, that would be nice." And literally got the idea from Star Trek. So anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, back to the script.
I think
nice.
the iPod had to have been. It was just
Yeah, but
that seemed obvious.
the guy who invented the MP3 was
I
watching
wanted
an
to
episode
say
of
that
Star Trek
first.
when it dropped into his mind and went, "Yeah, we should be able to do that."
Inspiration. So Deanna, after everybody leaves the room, basically says, I think you might have forced them together. There could be sparks, maybe it's a bit too soon. It could be an issue. But Picard says if there's going to be a problem, he needs to know about it now.
Oh, there
So
we go.
down on the planet, scanning, life
She's a bit of a
forms, bit of
Pulaski
a
character,
bomb.
isn't she?
A bit of a Watty character.
She reminds me a bit of Pulaski.
Oh yeah, she's a little
The
Pulaski.
way is that what
Oh,
her name
because
is?
she's
The
so mean to
doctor.
Data.
It's so mean to Data. She doesn't get him.
Yeah.
Well, she
So
doesn't. She doesn't misgender him at least. Doesn't keep referring to him as it. So at
that's
least
doesn't.
that's
true.
something.
That
But
is
she
true.
does. She tries to piss him off, but he's not. You can't. So,
Yeah, no, he doesn't have feelings to hurt pretty much.
And to be fair, she has a little bit more of a reason to have a distrust of him. It's not just that he's an android, it's because, of his brother and, all the other stuff that she's about to talk to him about. But so they're down there scanning stuff. She's basically ignoring Data. And when he presses her for the reason, she says that she distrusts him because of his brother, Lore, and how Lore had aided the Crystalline Entity in destroying the colony at Omicron Theta. She's also, I don't know if you had this in your goofs or anything, but she's also, although she gets it right in most scenes, in this scene, she's holding the tricorder upside down.
Yeah, it's like my dad trying to show my dad how to use a television.
It's like all the other scenes, she's got it the right way, but then in this shot, she has it upside down.
Yeah, she was only 50 shooting this, or around 50. But people used to age differently. They really just did.
I think some people do and some people don't. I mean, it's like Picard. He looked the same for about 30 years.
Yeah, when he was 37, he looked 60, and then
Yeah,
he's looked
stayed
60
looking
for
like that.
for 45 years. Yeah,
Yeah.
he lost all his hair. 35 or 37, he was,
Maybe,
and I'm
yeah.
37. he looked like 30 years older than me, whatever it
Yeah,
is.
Well,
yeah.
he was 47 when he started this, so he's
Yeah,
probably about the same age as her.
but Will
Yeah.
Wheaton is is older now than Picard was when at the start of
Yeah.
TNG, but you put them together, he's actually about 3 or 4 years older now, Will Wheaton now than Picard at the
Yeah.
start of TNG, and you'd never he looks about 15, 20 years younger. It is one of those things. Although the hair loss, sorry Monty, the hair loss has helped. And I forgot to mention this earlier. The actress who played Carmen All Fours Dial, she later went on to play Dinara Pell in Voyager, the Vidian the nice Vidian. So
Oh, of course
who
she
the
did.
doctor had a relationship with and called her
That's
Smallest and all that.
yeah. I knew I recognised her.
I
Yeah,
thought so
that's a
too.
good
Yeah.
shout. Good shout.
Yeah.
See, this is the thing. I didn't do trivia this week, so I didn't get to know all these little factoids. So thank you,
And
Sean, so much for
my brother's
doing
in
it
from
for me.
Luxembourg, so I'm doing it on the fly almost. I did not get time to research, but anyway, we'll get there.
It's good. It's good. So Data thinks that they may have survived because the metal's in the cave, but she thinks that the crystalline entity might not have attacked because Data was there, and if he was its ally, then it wouldn't hurt Data. So she's basically accusing him of stuff. Um, I'll just because we're near the end of the act, I haven't done the answer to the last one yet. I think the answers were divided, right? Some people said
B's and
B,
C's.
some people said C. Interesting. The answer is B. There were 5 people in total. It was
All
Worf,
the B's.
Geordie, 2 yellow shirts, 2 guy yellow shirts, and then 1 lady blue shirt.
You say 4 people, but I see 5.
Yes, it was 5. It was 5,
There
not
are
6.
4 lights.
There are 5 people.
Mm.
Cool. So, last picture for this one. He's basically like,
He's
"What?"
doing his dog head. Yeah,
Yeah. So
confused puppy.
she then confides that her 16-year-old son was one of the colonists that was killed during the attack, which begins to explain why she's got such a distrust of him, and it also explains why she has made the crystalline entity the focus of her attention and become an expert in it. She also says that she will basically foobar Data if he is involved with it in any way. So big threats coming from the doc. So, Ruth, have you got
Yeah.
anything within that scene that you wanted to call out?
No, I don't think so.
I
Just,
was just
the
I
B
just
arch.
since the measure of a man, they've treated Data as a sentient entity, and he's a person and not a thing. So she can't just disassemble him.
No.
That's just so yeah. She can't. That'd be like hacking off someone's arm. So
Yeah.
yeah. Now that's more down to her ignorance or anything. But if she tried it, she wouldn't get far.
She can
Yeah.
disrespect him because he doesn't care, but she can't
Yeah,
actually
but
physically
but
harm him.
but if you physically
Yeah.
disassemble them, more or less get tried
Mm.
for murder. So
Mm.
Yeah.
So, question 3 is quite an easy one, although you'll have to read the questions probably carefully because it might sound like I'm saying the same thing. What was the doctor's name? Was it A. Kilamar, B. Milamar, C. Kiramar, or D. Mirakar?
it was Schmallis.
Schmullis.
Oh,
Yes.
I'm
sorry.
sure
That was the other episode she was in. Sorry.
I'm sure they didn't mention it much. They just called her doctor all the time because I kept thinking, I'm not sure if I've heard her name yet. I better take that in.
Haha, yes, it was
They just
actually
kept calling
only
her doctor
mentioned in the captain's log, I think, at the beginning of
right at the beginning. Yeah,
the rest of the time they've just called her Dr. Blah
doctor.
rather than her first name. So that's why I was like, it'd be half easy, half maybe less easy. So the answers they've gone into chat there was A. Kilamar, B. Milamar, C. Kiramar, or D. Mirakar. Cool. On to Act 3. We got our first kind of gratuitous D pick on the brown planet of many names. I won't hang on that one too long though. Sorry, Monty. I know you like your enterprise picks. So LaForge, Data, and the Doctor are in engineering. She does some analysis and says lots of sciencey words like vitreous filaments and lanthanides. don't know what she's talking about. But basically, all the things that she's detecting, nothing is different from what she's seen at the other crystalline entity attack sites. Data suggests scanning for gamma radiation, and she kind of dismisses it, but then it starts to show up some energy reactions and patterns of a residual trace of antiprotons, and they get a sharp spike at the KEV. Also, don't know what that means. But it is
KV is I think that's an electrical surge, um, like kilovolts or something. I think that's a real
Oh.
world term.
Wouldn't surprise me. I think
It's
even with
electron volts. Sorry,
like
in physics,
kilos being like thousands of electron volts or something. It's volts. I
an
forgot the
electron
K's.
volt, symbol EV, is there a measure of an amount of kinetic energy gained by a single electron accelerating from rest through an electric potential difference of 1 volt in a vacuum. So there you go.
Is the K
Uh,
the kinetic bit then?
I would imagine that's kilo, so 1,000 of
Mm,
them,
I
which doesn't
see.
sound like a lot when we're talking about the measure of a single electron. So yeah,
Yeah.
not so much energy.
But yeah, I mean, some of this obviously is made up, some of it's not. I mean, even with the sciencey words, bitrious filaments, you try and look up what bitrium is, and it's a made-up thing, which is all to do with the crystalline entity. However, the lanthanides are something real. They're like a group of elements from sort of spanning about 5 or 10 numbers in the like atomic sort of tables. But yeah, so that's real then, KEVs. It's determined that the crystalline entity deposits these antiprotons as it travels through space. So they start to set all the ship's lateral sensors to detect them in the hopes that they can track its course.
Yeah, I'm just thinking in the vastness of space, a KeV is so small. I mean, your phone would be putting out trillions of the things, so they should have used a bigger number. But
Well, they said there was a spike in the KEV. They didn't
oh,
really.
okay,
They said
yeah,
It could
so
be a
a
tiny
sharp
spike, yeah.
spike.
okay, yeah,
They
I'll
didn't
give you
actually
that one.
say what the value was, just a sharp spike.
Okay, that's fair enough.
So let's see what we got next. Bit of arm touching going on. So Dr. And Data. She gives him a grudging thanks because he's found this way of tracking the entity. And then he starts to relay some information about the colonists and reveals that he has some scans of like the colonists' temporal lobes and has had some of their logs and things uploaded and stored in his positronic brain.
I was just gonna say bad lighting on this shot. It's just that label looks horrible. Looks really shiny and obvious.
It is bad lighting. You can actually on the black sort of box next to her, you can almost sort of see you can't really see it very well here, but it says something like access denied or something like that, because that was lit up in one of the previous episodes. I think it might have been like 110 1001.
Yes, yeah, I have you.
But so it's clearly not a screen that they can put lots of different things on. It just is an access denied screen that isn't lit up right now, but you can still make out the lettering. But
no,
you
well,
can totally see that's a stick on in like a bit of stick order.
whoever did the lights did a bad job of it, and that one just put them slightly off center, not equal to the camera. It would have been all right.
Sure did. Bad. Did that work? That did not work. Oh, I thought that was quite a nice shot as well. I, again, don't know anything about what's on any displays or if there's any mistakes or, casts, names embedded in any of the text, but they use the KEV spike to determine the likely course, and they set course for the Brechtian cluster. The Doctor has developed a modification of the photon torpedoes to try and destroy the entity and hands them to Worf. But Picard is a bit less keen about the idea of blowing the crystalline entity out of here, and says, "Hang on a minute, let's sort of stop and just see if we can find it and contact it." And she basically objects, and he says, "Let's go to my ready room." So that's you don't defy me in public. We're going to talk about this in private. G-Star saying there's a lag on chat.
He wants
Okay,
credit for
sorry
getting
about
there.
that. Well, we'll try not to do any fastest finger on buzzer questions. How about that?
Although there might be a tiebreaker later on.
There could be, but we have, when everybody's come first, we've just divided the points between them
Oh
a
yeah,
couple
that's
of
true.
weeks
We don't
in.
need tiebreakers anymore, do we?
Monty Bam must be really excited because I don't think he's had any points on the quiz for several seasons. So yeah, exciting times for Monty. Um, Monty Bam says that's a G only phenomenon, so maybe other people haven't got so much lag. Has everybody answered the question? Everybody has said A by the looks of it. And
What a
indeed,
maze.
it is A. Kilamar, Dr. Mar. Okay. So he takes her to the ready room, and he says that he wants to try to communicate with the crystalline entity and to try and find out whether there might be other ways that they can supply it with the energy it needs rather than destroy it, so that it doesn't then need to destroy planets. He likens it to a sperm whale feeding, and he says it's not evil, even though it destroys, or eats millions of cuttlefish. It's just doing what it does and consuming what it needs to survive. He says that it has as much right to exist as humans do, and asks that Dr. Ma work together with Data to find a way to communicate with it. So she goes off to Data's quarters. He's playing some lovely guitar music, even though his, miming is not brilliant. But
Yeah, and there's something about his miming in particular, and I've mentioned it several times. You might
He's
get it if it does. He's
left-handed.
yeah,
Doing
left-handed.
it the wrong way.
It's a right-handed guitar, and he's pretend.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
have no idea how much that annoys me.
it's a
Like
right-handed guitar.
it's a right-handed guitar.
yeah.
Yeah, so you strum with your primary
Mm.
hand. So he's strumming with his right instead of his left.
Yeah, so he's basically using it round the wrong way, right?
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Yeah,
So they obviously only had a right-handed guitar on set, and
yeah.
that's what they gave him. Although if you turn it the other way around, it wouldn't have
So,
made any more or less sense. So in theory, Data should be good enough to play a guitar upside down.
That's true.
I,
That
I
is
used
true.
I used to I didn't play bass well, but I tried to learn to play bass, and occasionally I'd end up messing around with a right-handed one at a session or something, and you could get by, but you're doing everything in reverse, and it's kind of messy.
Smiler says, surely Data is ambidextrous. Don't get Sean started, Smiler. Don't.
In theory, you'd think so, but he always has his phaser on the other side, and he does everything. He's very left-handed. He's more left-handed than I am. That I'm left-handed, but I'm mixed-handed. But he's very dominant left-handed. He doesn't mix at all.
So Dr. Ma comes in, disturbs the beautiful sound, and says, she basically says that he's been kind and helpful to her, but she's been a bit of a biatch to him. So she apologizes and he accepts her apology. They then talk about the fact that Data's got some latest findings that he wants to show her. So he goes to his computer to sort of show her that. But then they start to discuss about the colonist memories that Data has. And he says that he has actually got some of her son Raymond or Rennie's memories in his data banks. She wants to know if her son blamed her for not being there, and Data tells her that her son was just proud of her and he couldn't find anything negative in any of the journal entries or anything that relate to her.
Couldn't he just give her that data that she can then look through it
You would think so, yeah.
on her own
Let me
privately?
download the recordings and the journal entries. Yeah,
Can you just go back to the shot, 2 shots back?
2 shots back. What, the
Yeah.
guitar one?
Well, yeah, that's the one. Those ribs are new. So previously that wall was flat. So
Oh, right.
it's been ribbed for our pleasure.
And what's the thing with? Love it, Sean.
Just
What's the thing with the dangly ball on? Is that
dangly
normally
ball.
there?
There's
That
a whole
feels
lot of things.
new
I,
as
I think
well.
that last structure used to be in O'Brien's. Yeah, the chairs are from somewhere else. Where
I
do
mean,
you?
they,
Oh,
they
the
said
dangly ball
before
thing.
about how
He
his
likes abstract art, doesn't he? Like his square thing there.
Yeah,
he
hold on.
does.
I'm going to completely rip this off Jorg Hillebrand. Data Quarters features several new pieces of set decoration. Will be part of his set from now on. For the first time in this episode, the rectangular piece of wall decoration to the left of Dr. Martin's shot was originally seen in Geordie's quarters. That's the kind of the strip with the triangles. Um, The striped jar was originally part of Kivas Fajo's collection in The Most Toys, and it also appeared in O'Brien's quarters in The Wounded. The shelf behind Keelamar is new as well. It features a phrenology bust and a rapier. Both will be part of Data's quarters at the end of the season. Only a small portion of a new painting in Data's quarters is seen behind Dr. Mara in the last screenshot. This is a copy of Vermeer's A Woman Holding a Balance. The painting will be seen better in later episodes. So, yeah, lots of changes in Data's quarters.
Yeah, I mean, they said before about how his quarters were quite Spartan, but I mean, think about it, he's got plants, he's got art, he's got things on the table, like little lampy things. He's got all kinds of stuff in there now.
A right-handed guitar, yeah, everything.
Is that his guitar, or did he
Well, like in,
replicate it?
in
Do you think?
standard definition, you could have just turned it over the other way, and you wouldn't be able to tell anyway. I
Yeah.
don't know. Oh, maybe you could because no, there's no guard on it. Sometimes there's a pick guard that gives it away, but there isn't on that one. Anyway, I don't know why
No.
that happened. It's a bad goof.
So they are summoned to the bridge, and they have received a distress call from a transport ship, the Callisto, which is under attack. They have minimal shields because they're just like a transport ship, a freighter, or what have you. Dr. Mara is visibly distraught as she can hear the people on board sort of screaming and dying. And then after that, Worf is unable to raise them again on comms, so they lay in an intercept course. All a bit bad news for the alien transport ship.
Okay, I've got a couple of things on this shot. Door of the
Yeah.
turbo lift isn't closed,
Oh yeah.
so it's a little gap there, and it's lit for some reason. But it didn't close, and they used the scene. And also, they're suffering from standard before widescreen definition, where everyone has to
Yeah.
squash into a small space. Worf isn't
That's
at the
why I
right.
put this in there. They're all like, jauntily placed, but everybody's basically touching everybody. There's no way 5 people would stand touching each other like that.
And
It's
and
just
Worf
bizarre.
always naturally uses the wrong of his 3 consoles. He uses the wrong one, depending on what the shot requires. So he's at the security station. The middle one is tactical, and the far one is the communications. He's all the way over on the left. He needs to be all the way over on the right, but of course he wouldn't be in shot if he was at the right place. So, and also Data is looking at the captain and goes, "Oh, I guess that's why you get to be captain."
But
We've got
Riker's not leading on anything.
he's not for a change.
Yeah,
He's
no, he's
still
not.
doing his tilty thing, but
I don't really feel
he's not
like
leaning.
he feels embarrassed about being too tall. I always
Do you know,
think.
well, he's about my build, funnily enough. But well, I'm not in shape. But if I was, but I think what happened is he was leaning. He's stiff enough for the shot, and then he leaned again. He looks even by the shape of his hand. He's just holding himself upright just long enough to get the shot.
Yeah, poor back. Mickey's in chat. Hi, Mickey. Nice for you to drop by.
Hey, Mickey.
Oh, and Smiler says maybe Riker's leg behind Picard is up on a chair. Yeah, it wouldn't surprise me. Brilliant. Okay, so question time. Oh, did we do answers? We did do answers, yeah. For the last one.
We've done 3.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, that's great.
done.
So this is
Yeah.
question 4. So, what whale does Picard liken the entity to? Is it A, a blue whale, B, a sperm whale, C, a killer whale, or D, a humpback whale? What whale does Picard liken the entity to? Is it A, a blue whale, B, a sperm whale, C, a killer whale, or D, a humpback whale?
We don't get Star Trek 4, the one with the whales.
We're talking about the cuttlefish analogy, aren't we? Not the one with the whales.
Yes, the cuttlefish analogy. Yeah. Okay, so on to Act 4. Another D-pick. Very nice. So basically, they put an away team. They've sent them over to the alien ship to see what was going on there, and they've returned to report. They say that it's devoid of life. There's not even a grain of seed in their greenery storage. So obviously no people either. Picard sends for a rescue crew because they're trying to figure out now they've got an empty ship what to do with it, and confirms that they are still tracing the entity. So he says to Dr. Ma and Data that they're going to need to get their communication method as soon as possible.
We're going to need a bigger boat. And also, that ship that we see, we've never seen it before, and we'll never see it again.
Oh, wow. It was a
Completely
one and done. Gosh.
100% unique ship that we've never ever see 100,000 times. For
Wow.
representing about 50 different races. Just this once. That's it. Or we might
Brilliant.
possibly have seen it again. I forget
Fine.
what
It
it's.
was
I forget its
overly used,
name.
was it?
I forget what it's called, the Lesepian transport or something, but I think it's the most overused model of all time.
Ah, right. Okay. I thought it was a one and done for a minute. Maybe not.
Yeah.
Well, overused in the sense that it's represented the most different races or ships or whatever it is. Like obviously they use bird of prey a load of times, and things, but it was always a bird of prey.
Cool. So Dr. Ma and Data go off together. They want to, go and try and work on the communication method. And she is a bit disturbed, and she explains that the screams made her think of her son. She'd heard about soldiers on the battlefield crying for their mothers, and she reveals that she wasn't able to get back to him before he died. So, it sort of made her think about that. So she's feeling very sad. Oh, click properly.
There's your Riker lean.
Lean.
There it is.
Back in the ready room, Riker says that they've re-established their course to track down the crystalline entity. Picard informs Riker that Starfleet will be returning Carmen's belongings to her family and asks if he'd like to write a letter, and he says he would. And then Riker wants to speak freely and says that he's beginning to think Dr. Ma was right about wanting to destroy the entity. He doesn't want the idea that it would go on and kill loads more people being on his conscience. Picard says maybe that's, because of his personal feelings about the death of Carmen. But Riker says he's lost people on missions before and they can't risk their only chance to destroy the entity. Then he kind of flounces out like this conversation didn't go the way he wanted.
2 points on this one. One, the lighting is a lot better in this shot because there's not a big square white light on the back of Picard's head like there is in most episodes.
Oh yeah.
And then, so for compared to the other scene, they got that one right. And then the second thing, well, actually, you can see the white halo. You can see it's off to the left, but when it's at the back of the head and you see this perfect square, it's very obvious. And the second thing is, he walks up to the door, stops, and turns around, and the door doesn't open. It's like the door is reading his
Oh
mind.
yeah.
He goes, he's going to think, oh, actually, maybe I won't open, just in case he decides to turn around. So, yeah, kind of funny. The door just knows what you're thinking. Well, as much as Diana does in stating the bleeding obvious.
Yeah. Monty the flounces out. So just because this seems to be a really short act, and so I'm nearly at the end of it, I'll give answers. I think everybody's answered. We've got an A and mostly B's, and it was indeed B, a sperm whale.
Oh, right, that's
I
what.
thought maybe the humpback whale might get a few people, with the whole sort of Star Trek 4 and stuff, but no, sadly, didn't catch anyone out on that respect. Okay, next picture. Oh, it says make a selection first. I did select. I did. Look, another data picture for Tavi.
Tavi's gonna watch this back and be
I
screaming.
know. I hope she writes me and tells me how happy it made her.
She's gonna scream like Panko, Maza. We don't have Panko tonight, so at least
Yeah,
Panko can't get one up on her.
Okay, so Data and Dr. Ma continue to work on a way to communicate with the entity, and Data gives more information about the Doctor's son. They decide to use a graviton pulse for their communication method, and Dr. Ma creates a subroutine so that they can control all the variables relating to the graviton pulse from the bridge. Dr. Ma requests that Data recite one of Rennie's journals using journal entries using Rennie's voice. I've put it's quite a sweet moment, but G Star says this scene always gave me the creeps. So maybe it's not such a sweet moment. Maybe it's a creepy moment. But I think it's because he's just there, his mouth's flapping, and this little
I
boy's
think
voice
it's
coming out.
creepy. Yeah, I think it's
I
weird.
must be in a minority there then.
Well, I can
And I don't think
understand.
he should
Funny.
have done it.
I understand a mother suffering a loss like that, particularly if it's her only son, would be
Yeah,
wanting
that's
that connection.
why I don't think he should have done it. He knows that she's a grieving mother and maybe it's not appropriate. I don't know. It just
I
seems
don't think he
weird.
would know.
It's not. Maybe not.
Well, I mean, I'm no psychologist, but it's a unique opportunity, and she wouldn't have it often. So, why not?
Again, just give her the files.
Yeah.
Or I suppose,
Yes. Here's a thumb drive. Have at it.
Yeah.
or they have these things called holodecks, and
Oh yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can
I suppose
rise anyone from the dead, really, can't you?
I suppose there's lots of people who have lost children or something, just like go into a holodeck and just like try and pretend for as long as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, well, actually, I say that like there was an episode of Deep Space Nine about it and an episode of Voyager.
Okay, so question 5. Is anybody in particular winning so far, by the way, Ruth, or have we got a couple of
And we've got
people,
two
multiple people?
winners. We've got G Star and Stu at the top at the moment. In 240.
Ooh, G
So we
Star
need
and
to stay at
Stu,
the
eh?
top.
Brilliant. Okay, cool. So question number 5 is, what was the name of the alien ship that was destroyed? Was it A, the Calypso, B, the Calico, C, the Christo, or D, the Callisto?
I feel like you
What was
said
the
it
name? You what?
earlier.
Feel like I said the same thing 3 times.
No, you said you did give the answer earlier, didn't
I did say it once, yes, and then I sort of
you?
avoided saying it 4 or 5 times. Um, so what was the name of the alien ship that was destroyed? Was it A, the Calypso, B, the Calico, C, the Christo, or D, the Callisto? Okay, moving on to Act 5. Lots of people again, not quite so huddled together. They're still in pursuit and they are ready to attempt communication. They are 5 lights away from the Brechtian cluster, but they begin emitting the graviton emissions as some kind of lure.
Sorry, how far away?
5 light years?
lights.
4
5
light
lights.
years?
You said.
4
lights.
lights.
You say 5, but I say 4.
You say 4. That's fine. And then
Um,
they start it with 5 or 4 nanosecond graviton emissions at 1 pulse per second. Sorry, what were you going to say?
just gonna say, again, I guess they just flipped the consoles for this week because that's not where the Worf is, not the communications console.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he should be where Riker is.
Silly people. They don't think we notice these things, but we do. They then increase it to 10 pulses per second, and Worf detects a large mass on an intercept course moving at warp speed. It looks like a little dot to start with, and then it gets bigger, and then they can see that it is the crystalline entity right up in their faces. It stops near the Enterprise, and Dr. Marr seems kind of taken aback, really, and she's like, "Oh, it's so beautiful." They then increase the graviton pulse to 20 per second. It seems to respond, moves or something. So then they increase it to 30 per second, and they notice a transmission of graviton pulses coming from the entity. Data says that there's a bit of a pattern emerging, but it's going to take him a while to decipher it.
Oh, it's a great shot.
She's pulling a right off face. Look at it. He's like, what's going on? So Dr. Marr then says, I'm going to try a continuous beam instead of the pulsing one. So then the entity kind of moves a bit more. And Deanna, although obviously she can't read the mind of the crystalline entity, does the state the obvious thing and says, maybe it does not like what we are doing.
Yeah.
Picard orders a return to the intermittent signal, but Dr. Marr does not acknowledge the command, and the pulse begins to make the entity start resonating with increasing vibrations.
And then
Dr.
Data does nothing. He's
Yeah,
standing right there.
he looks at
Just
her.
do it if she's not going to do it. But he waits for the order.
And as we know in the episode Data Lord, Lord doesn't just tap on his comm badge and just talk to the crystalline entity. He just literally goes, I'll be identifying myself as Data, just play along, and then just taps out. So apparently he can understand English until this episode when it can only understand vibrations. So figure that one out.
Yeah, well, maybe I don't know. Maybe
Or
Lord
maybe
got
he is
some
less perfect than
translation-y
Lore.
thing, or yeah, I don't know. Don't
He
know.
is less perfect than Lore. Perhaps.
maybe. Um, so Dr. Mars locked out the controls with an access code, so they can't stop the pulse. And then she's in somewhat of an unbalanced state, and she sort of starts stroking Data's arm, and then she says, "I'm doing it for you, Rennie." So yeah, she's clearly having a bit of a funny moment, breakdown kind of style. And then the LaForge says he can bypass the lockout, but it's going to take a while, and then it's too late. The amplitude reaches a critical point, and the entity is completely shattered in a spectacular explosion. So I'm going to pause there and just see how we're doing for the questions. We've got D. D. Everybody said D, which is indeed correct. So everybody's right. Everybody's right.
You know how they get an explosion to shoot straight towards the camera?
No.
They just put the camera on the ground facing up, and then when it explodes, it falls straight down. Now you know.
Nice. So
Because
the whole,
if they did it straight on, it would like go out and then fall down. So anyway.
yeah, it is a pretty explosion. I'm guessing they probably it's probably another thing that they remastered. Oops, this is back
I would
on
imagine it's very
planet.
well. Sometimes sometimes effects can be too practical. It's rare, but that's one of the times.
Yeah, so this is
Yeah, that's Sparks Fizz fireworks stuff, and was still much
like
the
that
same. Yeah,
different. Yeah, look
yeah,
pretty the same.
it's still like a little sparkler kind of firework thing. Just
Yeah,
it's not much different.
probably like this one was quite different, I guess.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
I suppose in theory it could be two different ones, and they just think it's the same one.
Yeah, it's pretty though.
Yeah, particularly the second version. Yeah.
Yeah. Whoops. Okay. So the whole bridge is aghast at what has occurred, and Picard is sort of losing his rag a little bit, orders Worf to escort Dr. Marr to her quarters. She says it'll never hurt anyone again, basically trying to justify what she's done. And Data volunteers to take her to her quarters, probably because she's already clinging on to his arm. So he sort of takes her off to the turbo lift. She is a bit shaken. They get to her quarters, and Dr. Marr asks if Data thinks that Rennie would understand why she did this. Data says that he believes Rennie would not have been happy because he was proud of her being a scientist and she's ruined her scientific career. He thinks about it even more and says, actually, no, he'd be really sad because he wouldn't have wanted you to have done this in his name and ruined your life. So it's probably pretty much the worst thing he could have said to her. She looks absolutely devastated, and reality sets in about what she's done.
Thankfully, nobody in the Sung family has ever done anything scientifically morally
Dodgy.
ambiguous.
No.
Never
Ethically
happened. The
questionable.
Sungs are all ethically above board all the way through for the last 10 generations.
Yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so
all the way back to Khan Noonien saying, actually more. Yeah, they go back. God, they go back 400 years. They go up to the 90s.
And they
yeah,
still look like Brent Spiner.
yeah, funny that.
Well, they must be clones
Them
because
some strong genes, right?
well, again, like a father can look like a son, but only like 1 in every 8 or 9 people are left-handed. So the idea that you'd have generation after generation left-handed people is mathematically impossible. So they must be clones. That's my argument. I'm sticking with it. They have to be
I
clones.
like
It
it.
doesn't.
I
It
like
can't
it.
make sense. It cannot make sense otherwise. Because mathematically, 8 by 8 is 64. By 8 again is 480 something. It gets too big very quickly.
Mhm. You've disproved it by left-handedness. I like it.
Yeah. Well, whatever 8 to the power of 8 is too big a number for it to be a coincidence.
I agree. So, question 6. And this is a bit of probably annoying one. It's like, I swear, like Monty's so much better at the questions than me. She's talked repeatedly about her son Rennie What was Rennie short for? Was it A, Renier? Was it B, Randolph? Was it C, Rendell? Or was it D, Raymond? So what was Rennie short for? Was it A, Renier, B, Randolph, C, Rendell, or D, Raymond?
Well, what was it short for? I mean, he was only 16. He wasn't quite an adult.
Hadn't finished growing yet. Another 5 years to go.
Tavi's not here to laugh at the joke, Sean.
Yeah.
The old man joke.
And I
and
don't have the sound machine to do
Monty
the
doesn't have the.
bumblebee.
Yeah, I didn't get a chance because this only came in the post today, but I did a little soundbox thing. Hopefully, I'll have it working for next week. I don't know if I have a tumbleweed here. What do I have? Yeah. Oh yeah. There's awkward. I don't know what sound that makes. We'll find out next week.
Hawks. So I think I can stop sharing now. I think. Would that be right to do? I'll do it. I'll see what happens. So we would obviously we've got to do the last question answer, but we would usually do things like the scoring for the quiz and stuff like that and putting it all into the spreadsheet. But I don't have the
I've got some
spreadsheet.
Christmas presents to open.
Oh yeah, Ruth, I
Can I do
forgot.
that?
Yeah, we've got live Christmas present opening. Amazing.
I mean, it's still Christmas, right?
Yeah.
Well, it is if you still have presents, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, what could possibly be in here?
Oh, nice.
Oh,
Speaking of,
interesting. It's cadet data.
Wow.
I didn't even know there was a cadet
Amazing.
data. Nice.
Is that rare?
Galactic
It's got to be
gear.
rare.
I've never seen that one. That must be rare.
How upset will you get if I open this?
Oh,
Do you know,
yeah, there could be
they're
a
not that
riot in chat.
they're not that expensive. I mean, even after 30 years, they actually they go for what they cost retail, but like obviously inflation is taking part, so they effectively cost less. Oh, a fact I
Very
forgot.
cool, though.
A fact
All I
I
can see is,
forgot.
am I supposed to only be able to see myself?
Yeah, so that you can
The
show
big
us your
screen here.
presents.
There's another one. And we have got Commander Riker.
Nice.
2 takes breaks. Is
Okay,
that
thanks,
is that the original or is that one of the modern ones that they've started doing? Because
well,
they've done
I mean, it's
recreations
not
that came
weird.
out last year. Sorry?
No, I think this is. I imagine it's an old one.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
Montyman says that's an original.
Oh,
So
lovely.
who gave you
It's
these?
got a badge. Oh, I can wear my Riker badge next time I'm on.
Very
Nice.
nice.
A few other bits.
So who do these presents come from?
These would come from my partner. He just told me I wasn't
Ah.
allowed to open them until today.
Oh,
Brilliant,
lovely.
love it. Oh, it's a shame Tavi wasn't here to see your
Oh
data
no,
one.
so that's like, there's another one.
Data from the academy. That's so cool.
I honestly, and I've been around and I collected so many of these in my teens. Never seen that before. And I can see by the style of it, it's one of the later ones, but I didn't know that existed until today.
You've never seen Cadet Days then?
No, news to me. Monty might in the chat might enlighten me if he knew about it.
And a Deanna.
Oh,
A grey outfit.
I had that one all right.
She's got her own badge as well.
Is that they're stands, aren't they?
They're
Isn't it? When
stands, yeah.
stand
You
up?
clip her feet. There's a little
Oh,
plug
I
hole. You
see.
put your
Yeah,
feet into it. Yeah.
Yeah. Got a little laptop. The bits.
Lovely.
I think there's one more.
Gosh,
Oh.
you must have spent a bit of a
No, I've
pretty
had to wait
packet
a long
on
time
these.
for this. I've had to look at them, even
I-
though the trees.
for
got
weeks.
this,
Well,
yeah.
I'd say they're not that expensive when you find them, but I'd say the shipping now, because wherever you found them, they'd have to be shipped, and they cost more than what the actual figures cost.
Yeah.
Monty Ban
And
confirms he's
we
also
have-
not seen a cadet
guess
data
who's
before
next?
either.
Oh, yeah, fair enough.
Jowdy.
I had
There
that
it is.
one, and I lost the epoxy visor off it. The visor comes off, and I lost it.
Does
Oh
it?
no. Oh, actually, it mightn't be that one. I think I might have lost the earlier one. I don't think I had that one.
Shall I open it up? Are people going to be upset about opening it?
It's your figure.
No idea. Yeah, it's your thing. You
I'll-
do what
I'll-
you like.
Well, I'll tell you a fully functional factoid when you're doing that. The The visor doesn't come off on that one.
It
Okay.
doesn't come off. No.
Okay. I must have had an earlier one. The they did test footage of Geordie wearing that uniform, which didn't make it into the film in the end, and he's the only one that footage survives of him wearing that kind of lower deck style, similar to me, uniform with the the Star Trek TOS kind of style flaps on them. So
Ah,
he's the only one that was actually recorded in it because they made all the figures, and then a month before they shot the film, after the figures had gone in production, they decided to use a mixture of DS9 and what you call it uniforms. You can also see Geordie in the film also has a uniform that's too long because
I don't think so.
I think he gets Chief O'Brien's uniforms, and Chief O'Brien is 3 inches taller than him, so like the wrists are all like down his hand like that in all the shots.
have you been
But
told
nice,
there's another one, or that you've got them all?
No, that is
nice
them.
Ruth, good haul.
Brilliant.
And one other
They-
fact,
That's so cool.
Date's coming out.
oh
She just wants to play with them all.
I don't agree with keeping toys in boxes.
yeah,
Good on ya.
if Tavi, I wish Tavi was here because Tavi would be all over that.
Look at him. What is he wearing?
He's wearing like
He looks
a
like he's
brown cadet onesie.
he looks like he's from the Psy Corps in Babylon 5 or something. Very cool. Love it. What sort of things does he come with? What's his props?
He's got a phaser, or just the usual stuff. Phaser, tricorder. Don't know what that tiny little thing is. Things that get lost.
Yeah.
You don't have like a dog or anything, right? Keep him up off on the table.
No.
Brilliant. Oh, Monty Ban agrees with my Psy Corps comment. Very, very cool. Wicked. Right. Well, shall we do some answers to the final question? We got a D, a D, and a D. Is there only 3 people still playing? Did you answer? Oh no, Monty Ban said D. Did you answer, Sean? You didn't answer, did you?
I thought I did.
Oh, you.
Okay.
Oh no.
I don't see an answer.
I wasn't gonna win anyway. I wouldn't worry about it too much.
He's given up. Okay, so then it is D. Indeed, it was Raymond. I just thought it'd be weird, like Rennie Raymond. Rennie Raymond. I don't know. I didn't get that. It would be Ray, right? You'd call him Ray. Ray. I don't
Yeah,
Well,
know.
I remember
it,
thinking that. It was
in
rainy. I
America,
thought.
in Americans English, they mix up like the way that like, Vash becomes Vosh and stuff. They don't always pronounce A's as A's. They pronounce them as kind of E's or O's. It's just American English.
Monty
So
Ban says he's only just noticed you're Robbie the Robot in the background. Ruth.
Oh yeah.
He's very cool
There's
on
all
the
sorts
shelf
going
there.
on in the background.
Got quite the collection.
my green screen just folded in. You saw my fridge. Okay, we put
Yeah.
that back.
Brilliant.
Never mind.
It was like a portal opened in the
I was like,
engine room.
into the fridge.
Brilliant.
There was one fact I forgot to mention because Monty usually prompts me because he mentions the air date. The original air date in the US was the 14th of October 1991, just a week after my 6th birthday. But the UK air date was the 11th of January 1995. So it is exactly 28 years to the day since this episode aired. We finally
wow.
synced up. So,
Wow.
because we were like a week off
Brilliant.
here and there, but because
Yeah.
of the Christmas break, we were actually synced up with the UK air dates.
Amazing. That is so cool.
And I probably watched it the day it came out, but I can't remember because I was 6 or 7, whatever it was. Oh no, I was
Wicked.
10. Sorry, what am I saying? No, 9.
So get your answers in chat as to marks out of 10 for this episode, please. And I don't know, Monty, if you've got the spreadsheet somewhere, but Ruth, do you want to tell us who came what in the quiz?
Wow.
So did we still have Stu and G Star on top?
We still have a tie and 500 points each. We have G Star and Stu.
Brilliant. And then they get 10 points and 9 points divided between them, but then we round up. So that's actually going to be 10 points for them each. Oh, Tavi's not going to like Stu Plum shooting into the lead like that. Brilliant. So G Star 10 points. That puts Stuplum on 46 points. And then who came third, fourth, fifth?
So yes, third we have myself and Monty.
Third. So that would be 8 points for you both.
And then we have Sean, who just didn't bother answering the last question, but was losing anyway.
6 points for Sean. 10, 10, 8, 8, 6. 0 for Mazza because she was question meister. That's fine. Okay, I don't actually. Where is my paddle? I don't know. Uh-oh. Finding my paddle.
Data can't really hold his phaser properly.
Try putting it in his
Oh,
left.
Oh, there we go.
silly Data.
Phasers are for kids.
Datas are not just for Christmas, you know, they are for life.
They are.
Right. Right. Okay. So, scoresies. You've got yours, have you, Shawnee?
Yeah.
I've got mine. I think Monty will probably put his in chat. So, 3, 2, 1, reveal. We've got a 6 and a 4. And Ruth is also a 6. G Star is a 6. Wookie is a 7. Monty Ban is a 6.
I guess I'm being harsh.
You are welcome to be harsh. Tell us why you are so harsh.
It's just so incredibly forgettable. It just,
Yeah.
it's just,
It felt like it could have been more, right?
there was definitely a seed of a great episode here. And in the episode notes, sorry, I'll find it here somewhere. Where are we? Crap, I don't have it to hand. But basically, Brent said that. Oh, sorry, here it is. According to Brent Spiner, production problems affected the writing of the episode. He recalled apparently they were having problems getting the next episode ready, the next episode being Disaster, for production, and this script was ready to go, but it wasn't very remarkable. So the week it needed another week of polish, and they basically pulled it up and just pushed it into production. So there was definitely the germ of a great episode there, but it just didn't happen. And
I mean, it was theoretically a big episode. They had some on-site shooting. They had the big entity. They had like death and destruction, and you
yeah,
know,
they
but it
had the
just
A
sort of
plot, the
fell
B
short
plot, the personal
somehow.
plot, but
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
it amounted to a hill full of beans at the end. It was
Mm,
it's just so utterly forgettable, and it
yeah.
had a recurring villain. It brought back in lore. It had so much, but it just doesn't hit. It's just a miss.
Mm.
It's not bad. It's just not. It's just so forgettable that you almost just it just washes over. I watched it 3 times this week. I still I'm gonna like I'd forget what happened in it next week. It's just there's nothing. There's nothing to it of any interest. It's just like skip.
So the average in chat, we've got a 7 and 3 6s, so that will average out as a 6
Yeah.
for the audience rating. You heard
Sorry
me.
for all the background packaging noise.
Yeah.
No, you go for it.
Enjoying your toys.
You unwrap your data. As Tommy would tell you, data wrapped in plastic is no fun at all.
Yeah. Riker's now unwrapped too.
You need to have him always leaning on something. Always. Constantly.
Well, he comes with his own leaning device.
Like
We've got
Elf on the Shelf, but he just has to be moved around and just be leaning on different things, on couches, on chairs, on tables, on desks, whatever it is, just leaning.
I'll make sure he's leaning somewhere. Yeah.
2 takes.
Monty Band says, don't forget, first Monty Zone of 2023 is on the 20th of January. Sorry, G said that earlier as well. I did not catch that. Oh, yeah. Just to share, Monty Zone is back Friday, 20th of January. Brilliant. The audience average was 6. Monty Band. 6. We had 3 6s and a 7, so that averages out just over 6, rounded to 6. And Tavikins, we will find out her score when she comes back or in offline. Maybe next week she'll tell us.
I
and then we'll-
think she's gonna give this probably an 8. There's a lot of the D man in this.
I don't know.
there has been there was
score
at
it
least
high.
one data episode previously that she was disappointed in and scored quite low. So yeah,
Yeah.
maybe not. We will see. We will
We'll
see.
see. Yeah. Him playing
Cool.
right-handed guitar is just. That
And
still
then
gets me.
yeah, and then next week, with what? Does anybody know? Just
Disaster.
gonna check. Disaster.
You probably the trailer's still back, so I'll describe it briefly.
Disaster.
The ship hits a quantum
Quantum
filament.
filament.
Yeah, that's very hard to say. Filament. And they, because people always make fun of me for saying film, actually, including Brent Spiner, not me personally, but Irish people. I saw a Comic-Con video where it's like movie, sorry, film, because he was in Ireland. Yeah, so sorry, off topic. So yeah, it hits a quantum filament, and the only people on the bridge are Ensign Rowe, Chief O'Brien, and Deanna's in charge, and doesn't just get to state the bleeding obvious for the whole episode, actually gets to do something. So that'll be
Okay.
fun.
Fun times. Right then, we'll look forward to that. Hopefully see most or all of you next time. Thank you everybody in chat. Thank you Andrew, Stuplum, Wookie, Smiler, G Star, you guys, Sean, Ruth,
Okay.
Mickey. Did I miss anybody? Hopefully not. And we will see you all next time. Thank you guys. See you later. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Hopefully Monty will